So what do we got here? 15.9 mil for 5 years is the median. We could bump that up. What would that be? Like $1.5 million to get him up to 65. Bump up the years to get him to 68. I mean, he was still improving last year. He's a high overall, and he's not even in his 30s yet. So we could probably have him all 7 years before he regresses significantly. So I guess I may as well offer the max here, because this would be a really nice addition to our bullpen. So yeah, let's do it. 68%, just over 2/3 of a chance to get him. See what happens. All right, what jersey you gonna have, man? What jersey? Oh, he signed somewhere else, man. We're getting unlucky on these. He signs with the Pirates. Do you not care about winning? Dang, that's a big one to miss out on, because there really is not any other lefty option. All right, Happ is finally talking with a different team. Hicks is all the way at 60% interested. He's also talking with other teams. We did actually have some other signings that didn't show up. Man, so Hader actually, how does that make sense? He signed with Pittsburgh for less time and less money. Not even more money for less years. He signed for less of both. But Trinan also got scooped up. Jack Flaherty went to the Reds, and then Teoscar went to Pittsburgh. So man, I don't know. Maybe Pittsburgh is building something here, signing Teoscar and Hader. I almost said that with a straight face. All right, well, there's like nobody left that fits our team, basically meaning not a starting pitcher, that is costing any money. Like, Rosario might be the most expensive position player free agent besides Happ, who we're already looking at. So yeah, we are absolutely not at all restricted by money right now for the rest of this offseason. But you know, it might also be beneficial to not blow all of our budget in this offseason, because if this offseason was weak, maybe the next one's going to be a little bit more lively with some better options. And if we still have a ton of money left over going into next season, especially if I'm able to trade Strasburg, because yeah, we'd be finishing out Kenley's contract, so that right there would free up 16 mil, and then depending on if we can trade Strasburg, that could free up a bunch more. If we don't spend a whole lot more, which I don't even know if we could spend a whole lot more this offseason, we could go into next season with another like 100 mil. I definitely want to make sure we get Happ though, like to the point where I'm almost thinking of just using this guaranteed right now and locking him up for sure. But Hicks would also be nice, and if it comes down to it, using the guaranteed on him, I mean, that might even make more sense, because he'd be 33 by the time this contract expires, so he most likely won't be regressing yet. See, also, the more I'm thinking about it now, Cody Bellinger is kind of somebody that I want to sign with how little he's asking for. And I would kind of like, after getting Happ, I would kind of like to get another outfielder to try and keep James Wood down in the minors. Bellinger could also play first if, you know, that doesn't resolve itself with either Smith or Chavis coming back. But yeah, if we had the outfield Happ here, Robles / Bellinger, I guess they could platoon, and then Lane Thomas out and right. Hopefully that would keep Wood and Hassel in the minors. I mean, realistically, it wouldn't be the absolute worst thing if James Wood got called up, because he probably could play. Like, I mean, he's at least 50 in the 4 main hitting categories. The clutch is a little low, the discipline's a little low, but like Robles, with worse numbers and everything but contact versus left, he batted .263 with 12 bombs. I mean, well, we can't really see Dom Smith from this screen, but I'm sure Dom Smith's numbers, his attributes to start the year, weren't really any better than this is right now for Wood, and he'd be a good fielder. I'd still like, the biggest reason I want to keep him in the minors is to have a chance to fast track him and increase his overall by a big chunk at one time. I just don't know with that other outfielder situation if it would make more sense to pay a little bit more for a Bellinger and have the chance of him improving significantly and then have him over the course of time, or getting a Renfroe for a couple years just to fill the gap before Wood or Green come up. If we get Renfroe, he'd have to be starting, and he probably doesn't play the best center field, not being that quick. So we'd either have to go Happ, Robles, Renfroe, with then Lane Thomas on the bench, or have Lane Thomas play center with his not great fielding, but a little bit better bat. It'd probably make more sense to have Thomas on the bench if that was the option, and him being one of our higher rated players, I don't really know if I'd want him on the bench. I guess also if that first base situation doesn't resolve itself, and we got Renfroe for this scenario, then Meneses could play first with Thomas DHing. I guess there is also the Ahmed Rosario option, because he could play the outfield, or he could bump Abrams to the outfield. Already really good contact, really good clutch, mid power, but you know, good enough power probably. Good speed, good enough fielding. A potential would be the biggest thing at only 28 years old. Yeah, the more I think about Rosario, he might be someone that is like a must go after, and then just figure out where you're going to put him. Because if we're talking about Bellinger being someone to want to sign now and hope he gets better in the future, he's worse right now, and he's the same age as Bellinger. And for $2.8 million more a year, what he's asking, we could get probably a better player both right now and moving forward. So yeah, I think Rosario has got to get added here. I really, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know how I wasn't prioritizing Rosario more to begin with. Like, he's actually real good. Real good. Why was I not thinking about this more? He should have been on the first screen. And actually, in that vein, I'm going to go ahead and bump him up to priority 1. We'll knock Hap up to 2 and then have Hicks down at 3. Man, I want all 3 of these guys though. All right, let's advance the week now. Let's see what we got here. And a relief pitcher signing. Renfroe signed with Detroit, so okay, we missed out on that one for sure. 2 years for about $5 million a year, 5.2. And Rhys Hoskins signed, so that's fine. That's actually probably a good thing then, because if I would have put Renfroe on and then it popped up saying a last chance, I probably would have felt obligated to at least try, and then maybe we get stuck with a guy that wouldn't be as good as Rosario. And all right, here we go. And Rosario was over 50% now, so we could offer him the deal now. If we bumped him up to the absolute max right now, we could get him up to 67% interested. He's another guy that there'd be no reason not to go 7 years probably. Hap is now up to 74%. Can we get him to 100 yet? Because that's the thing. If we can get him to 100 and make sure we can sign him for sure, then we don't have to use our guaranteed accept on him, and we could use it on Rosario. All 3 of these guys though I want so bad at this point. So I don't know, I might just keep these 3 on here and I guess disregard our other options, which really that's not even really disregarding anything, because the only other real thing to look for would be if there was any other relief pitcher and then like a, I don't know, backup catcher, maybe backup infielder. But that, if we need one of those, we could probably clean up in the last week or so of free agency anyway. We're an hour and a half into this off season here. I have no idea if we're on episode 1 or 2 right now, but man, I'm having fun with this. And our team could start looking really good. We already got Chapman, and now we're closing in on 3 high potential young players when our team is already full of high potential young players. All right, but you know what I am going to do though is I'm going to bump Hat back up to 1 and Hicks back up to 2, because Rosario, as long as he doesn't have a last chance thing pop up here, that 4% would get him over 55, which would mean we could use a guaranteed on him. And that's all we really need, as long as we can make sure we lock up Hap and Hicks. So let's go ahead, advance another week, and just hope that nobody's last chance comes up here. No, it's a Jordan Hicks last chance. Okay, I have to do it. Oh, do I use the guaranteed though? That's the thing. Oh, I don't know. He'd be 79% likely to sign with us if I don't use the guaranteed. I don't care about the extra money. It's just only having the 1 per off season and then not having this available for Rosario. That's what's keeping me from just saying, let's do it. I don't know, man, because the way I'm thinking about this is if it came down, if I had to like decide who's better for our team going forward, Jordan Hicks or Ahmed Rosario. My gut instinct would be to say Rosario because Hicks is just a bullpen arm, but with Hicks being a 65 stamina guy who could be a long reliever, sometimes long relievers in March to October's pitch over 100 innings a season, and 100 innings is pretty valuable. But I still think a position player who's already an 83 and has the kind of positional versatility that Rosario does is probably more valuable for the team. So I think I'm going to try and offer Hicks just this max 7-year, $4.62 million and hope that the 75% is enough. Like, we lost Ohtani, which was fair enough because that was like at a third, but Hader, we were at 2/3%. So we've already gotten shafted in this offseason. So like, odds are they balance out, right? And we get this one successfully. So here we go. Let's do it, guys. I'm kind of scared. Everybody cross your fingers. Please, Jordan Hicks, sign with me. You want to win, don't you? He did. Okay, we got him. Jordan Hicks is a Washington National. Dude, why is my heart rate elevated here? I'm so invested right now. That is a really good signing. Jordan Hicks locked down for probably the rest of me playing on this March to October. Victor Caratini signed with Cleveland here, so if we still were looking at a backup catcher, it'll have to be Alfaro now. Yep, we also had Gary Sanchez get signed. I didn't even realize he was there, but I probably wouldn't have been too interested in that anyway. Sano got signed. He was a White Sox March to October legend. He didn't even play last season. Wow. Chad Kuhl got signed. He was in our organization last year. Didn't get to use him. And yeah, dude, Hicks, I'm so excited about this. And you know, I don't remember who now, but shout out to whoever it was in the comments like 10 plus episodes ago saying that Hicks was somebody to go after, because you did. You hit the nail on the head. This is a player right here. We could get Hap up to 97% right now, so he's almost a lock. One more week should get him. We could probably put him down in the third spot then with whoever we add in here. Rosario now is available to be locked down guaranteed for 7 years, 10.9 mil a year. That's still a really good contract. We could still get Alfaro, and for some reason, man, the back of my head keeps telling me to go after this guy, and that would be a good backup catcher. I forget though, were there any lefty relief pitchers worthwhile? Not from the closer spot. I mean, Pomeranz, how much did he okay, he didn't really decline a ton, but he is only a 72. Wandy Peralta is really the only other option though. 32 years old. I guess one less overall and a couple years younger, being less likely to regress. Maybe this would be worth it. I guess Matt Moore is also here, and okay, he didn't regress last year. He actually progressed. He's a 76. So even if he does regress, he's got a little bit of room before he'd be even as bad as Pomeranz is now, or Peralta. At a 3.80 ERA last year, the walks per 9 is low, so that'd be another low walks per 9 in the bullpen, which if we get too many of those could be kind of rough. But yeah, that's pretty much it for our options, unless we want a 67 overall Amir Garrett with even worse walks per 9. We probably should try to get another relief pitcher, because right now we're stuck with both Hunter Harvey and somebody else, whether that be whoever we're not seeing that's a bullpen arm or a Trevor Williams / Michael Hinojo. I guess a Ronaldo Lopez wouldn't be terrible. 73 overall. Only 30 years old, but the fact that he slightly regressed last year makes me think that C potential is only a 72, 73. So that means he definitely won't get any better, and I guess potentially the regression could kick in. There's also Phil Maton, also solid walks per 9. That was something I forgot to mention with Lopez, actually. He had 80 walks per 9, which is pretty good. But Phil Maton, a little worse on the walks per 9, a little worse on the hits per 9 also. But he was still improving even a year older. He gained an overall last year. He didn't really have an amazing season. 4.29 ERA, gave up a lot of hits. I guess there is also Carl Edwards Jr. too. He's still on the board. If we're gonna bring in a low 30-year-old, low 70s arm, we could just bring him back in, and I guess he'd be, well, slightly cheaper than the other two. Not really a crazy amount cheaper, but there's also that familiarity there with how good he was. The only thing is I feel like he's more likely to regress, especially especially than Lopez, just because he has 2 more years on him, and he was in the categories that regressed. They were the only ones that regressed. I don't know. We could even look to bring in two more arms, because then, I mean, if we think Hicks right now is just going to be our long reliever, we have no use for a Trevor Williams. So if we got like a Matt Moore and one of those righties, that would replace what we had planned for Trevor Williams, and Hunter Harvey could go back down to AAA because he's only a 67. I just don't know if it's worth more focusing on the bullpen or focusing on like backup position players. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what happens when Hap signs with us. We'll have to see if that knocks out Hassel or something. Because I mean, like, the Bellinger option is still there. It's still a thing. I don't know. Like that, after getting Rosario, if we figure our starting lineup now is going to be Meneses DHing, Ruiz behind the plate, somebody playing first, Garcia, and then short would either be Abrams or Rosario, Chapman at third, left is Hap, centers Robles / Rosario, right is Lane Thomas. I guess whoever else we'd sign would then just be like a true backup, or Robles would be a backup then. Have I even looked at backup infielders, like backup middle infielders here? Not really options for second base. It's kind of, I don't know, Tony Kemp and Adam Frazier. Both of them are kind of the same deal. Low power guys. Frazier's probably a little bit better. There's no other shortstops. And then it's really kind of just Urshela, or I guess Scope, to fit what we're looking for. But I kind of don't want somebody that's better than who will be starting. And the only one worse than who will be starting is Candelario. We could also, I mean, I guess Muncy could still be in play just in case we need a first baseman. He could either be a first baseman or an infield backup, kind of like a lesser version of Matt Chapman at the plate, bringing the high power or high-ish power with low contact. Man, I just wish we knew what was going on with first base, because like if it just showed Dom Smith there, then I wouldn't think that that's something we had to worry about, because I'd be completely fine with another 162 games of Dom Smith at first base. Well, I think probably a lefty reliever might be the more valuable thing right now, just to get a second one out there, because all we have is Mantiply, so it gets a little pressure off of him from being the only lefty in the pen. I think Matt Moore is probably the best option, basically a lefty Nick Sandlin in terms of ratings. Hopefully won't regress too fast, considering he was still progressing last year, and I'm gonna try and offer him the lowest amount of years that we can, which I'm assuming if the middle is going to be 4, it'll probably end up being 2. I'm also going to focus the team needs just on Hap and Rosario, and just kind of see what Matt Moore is looking like first before we do anything. But, or wait, actually, okay, no, we can still do that more for Rosario, but I said I could move Hap down all the way to 3, just so that we can, because I mean, he only needed, what, 3% more to have that max offer be 100%. So yeah, we could probably do this. Rosario an extra 7, Hap 5, and then we can see what Matt Moore is looking like. So let's go ahead and advance. And okay, we got a couple signings here. Mally Floro, Jock Peterson back to the Dodgers. That's kind of fun, coming off a 35 homer season. Syndergaard back to Philadelphia, or was he on Philadelphia? Why am I forgetting this now? He was on Philadelphia last year, right? Or was he on the Angels? Or was he on both? I don't know. Kike goes to the Brewers, and then another one of these dudes. Man, there was still one of these dudes out there, and I didn't see him? Man, this dude actually is pretty good. I might have gotten him. Amir Garrett signs with San Diego, and Crone to the Phillies. Sonny Gray to Atlanta, and nobody else big. So is it really only the Phillies doing anything in our division? I can't think of anybody who signed with anybody else in our division significant. Oh yeah, and the Braves. The Braves just got Sonny Gray. Okay, so yeah. But yeah, so far in our division, besides us, it's the Phillies with Crone and Syndergaard, and then the Braves with Gray, and then I guess Lamet, but it's not really that big of a signing. Matt Moore is 58% interested after just 1 week, so we could bump it down to 2, bump the money all the way up, and he'd be 2/3 of the way there. I might just offer that now and see what happens. Hap is guaranteed. We could even get a little bit less money and still be at 100%. 5% or a year less. What would be better to do? One less year or a little less money? Probably one less year, just in case it doesn't go well. Actually, does it really matter when we go that far in? Because how likely is it, even though we're getting through relatively quick and I'm being pretty consistent this year on this March to October, what are the chances that we get through another 6 seasons for this to matter? So actually, yeah, with that in mind, we'll go that full 7th season and then give them, I mean, that's only 200,000 less, but saves a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and lock this one up so that we can make sure we get Hap. Don't even have to worry about it anymore. 7 years, 12.1 mil a year. Ian Happ is going to be a Washington National. We have made some really nice signings this offseason, man. And there's still more happening. Like, once we get Rosario, because we're getting him no matter what. Like, I've decided Rosario's on this team. If it comes down to it, I'll use the guaranteed thing. So that's another nice signing. Hap locked up. He can play anywhere. This team is getting scary. I would be worried as the rest of the league. Like, they might have been thinking, oh, this was kind of a fluky World Series. We just got hot at the right time, and we weren't even that great of a team. But now we're building on what we had, building around our core. Almost about to develop a new core of still pretty young dudes who've got plenty years left to be good. So actually what happened here is something I don't understand at all. They moved Alex Call into DH and then moved Lane Thomas over to our first base spot. He can't play first base. Like, he can't do it. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe this screen is just completely messing with me and it's gonna look completely different once the season actually starts. Man, I'm also just noticing Aaron Nola hasn't signed anywhere yet. Not that I'm interested, but hopefully he doesn't go back to the Phillies now. And hopefully he just goes completely out of the division. That'd be nice. And you know what? I don't know why my gut keeps telling me to do this, but I may as well listen to my gut here. So let's get Alfaro on the board and at least see how interested he is. All right, we'll go ahead and put him at priority 2 here. Get him 5% and then see what that's looking like. And then just keep building it up with Rosario. Because at this point, even though he's talking with other teams, we have him over that 55%, so he can be guaranteed locked up. So I'm not really worried about him anymore at this point. It's just I'm keeping him at the top because if we can get his interest up high enough to where we can maybe save a few bucks, why not? So let's go ahead and advance this week. Man, that was only week 7. We still have a lot of time left in the offseason here. All right, this dude, I know it's a random dude. I was looking at him. Not interested, even though he is C potential, only 19, but I don't know. I was fine with that. At least I was aware of him. Jordan Montgomery, is that a back to the Yankees? It is. So he goes back to New York in the offseason. Bellinger's gone and he goes to a division rival. Well, I hope he's not successful now. He was still somewhat on my radar, but I kind of resigned to not getting him, and of course he goes in the division. At least it's only 1 year though, so they're not even betting on his future. They're just giving him a 1-year prove-it deal. Ooh, and all right, Alfaro's only 45% interested. Why don't you want to sign with me, Jorge? I think I'm going to try and offer to Matt Moore here. I'll give him just the 2 years for age 34 and 35. Bump up the money all the way 70%. I mean, I guess there's a chance he doesn't take it, but I kind of want to get him off the board here so that we can get somebody else like a Ronaldo Lopez or Carl Edwards back in there. Or, I mean, I could also just like guarantee Rosario right now if I'm going to do that anyway, and that would free up a spot. But I mean, saving money on him too. I guess I'm trying to do that. So yeah, no, let's go ahead. Let's do this for more. Bump the money all the way up. Bump the years down to 2. 70%. Let's see what happens. I don't think... Oh, we got him. Okay, I was going to say I don't think we'll get an animation, and we didn't. We just got him. That's actually a solid little signing. I feel like he could be good for us. All right, so yeah, back to the depth chart here. The bullpen is completely rebuilt from what it started at when we took control of this team. Sandlin, Mantiply, Efros, and Kenley we traded for. Hicks and Moore we signed. We now have 2 lefties out there. We got some righties for the future in Hicks and Sandlin. And it's also a pretty cheap bullpen. Besides Kenley, who honestly, initially we only got to save money anyway. So you could just consider his salary a wash. But besides him, Hicks at 4.6 mil is the most we're paying anybody. I think I'm going to add Ronaldo on here next. I remember in the first couple of years of the White Sox March to October last year, he was actually like really good. Like I'm talking sub 2 ERA good at the same overall too. And I like the 80 walks per 9 is a little bit more of a stable, less wild option out of the bullpen. So I'll go after him. He would replace our Hunter Harvey option, and then that would solidify this bullpen as being Sandlin, Mantiply, Hicks, Moore, Efros, Kenley, Kyle, and then Lopez. So let's go ahead and advance to the next week with this setup now, see what goes down. Oh, it's immediately a last chance with Lopez here. Well, I think I'll offer him anyway what I was going to. I was going to knock it down to the 3 years, and I mean, for an extra 300K, may as well bump up the salary to the max. So we'll take a 57% interest to get him back. And yes, I do say back because he was a Washington National. Actually, now I think about it, did he play at all for the National? Oh, he did. He pitched 11 games before he got traded. Okay. So nearly a decade later, after being traded as a high prospect, is Reynaldo Lopez coming back? He is not. He's going to Tampa, which means he's about to be one of the best right-handed relievers in the league. Oh, and then the other guy I was looking at, Phil Maton, he signs over the course of the week. So I don't know. We might be stuck with Hunter Harvey, which isn't the worst thing. They messed up here. We had no December 30th, and we have 2 December 31st. I guess they just wanted 2 New Year's Eves, which how can you blame them? All right, Rosario is all the way up to 80% now. We're 5% away from being able to just lock him up for the max offer here without using the guaranteed. Alfaro is up to 51. We could offer him a contract now. I wouldn't want to sign him for 5 years. 3 years would be ideal. It'd pretty much be the same thing we tried to offer Lopez, but we'll keep him on the board too. Was there any other relief pitchers worth signing over Hunter Harvey? I mean, Edwards is still there. I just worry about regression, because like once you start seeing the regression 1 year, then the next year is when it kicks in. So he'll be down in the 60s probably halfway through the season, and if he's not going to be a reliable arm come playoff time, then what's the point, you know? Which on the other hand, Hunter Harvey is, or at least should be, continuing to get better. So if they would like meet in the middle at that 69-70 overall spot, but Harvey's on his way up and Edwards is on his way down, we may as well just stick with Harvey. All right, so then yeah, I think I'm set with the bullpen then. So the rotation's been set, the bullpen's set. We're looking to set backup catcher and then Rosario. All right, so what I'm trying to do here is figure out our backups, because this whole first base situation is throwing me off. So I'm just operating under the assumption that Dom Smith won't be there, just to make it easier. So let's just say then that we successfully sign Alfaro and Rosario. So then our starters would be Ruiz behind the plate, Meneses playing first, Garcia second, Abrams short, or Rosario, but for now let's just say Abrams short, Chapman third, Happ left, Robles center, Rosario right, Lane Thomas DHing. Backups, according to what we have here, would hopefully then be Alex Call, Jeter Downs, and then Jorge Alfaro. So that would leave one bench spot unoccupied, which would then probably end up going to James Wood. So if we were to sign one more player, it would probably be beneficial to be a backup outfielder, but looking at who's available as an outfielder, none of them are really the best option, because they're all higher overalls than Robles right now, and they're all on the older end. I mean, I could see trying to go after Pollock, just because with him asking for 2 years, we could probably bump that down to 1. And a 1-year deal would kind of be perfect. Otherwise, I guess Kiermaier, which would be nice to have that fielding and speed somewhere on the team. But him asking for 4 years, we could try and bump it down to 2 and then hope we get that. Taylor, I guess, he'd basically be a watered down version of Kiermaier. So if we do go after somebody, it may as well be Kiermaier. All right, so you know what I'll do? I'll throw Kiermaier on there, see what kind of interest he has as of right now. All right, so we'll move forward with this, and I guess just see what everyone's interest level is going to be then after this. Alex Wood signs with the Rangers for 10.8 mil? Huh. With the low-ish contracts we've been seeing, I wouldn't expect him to get that much. And then just a righty reliever to Houston. And nobody's signing throughout this week. Okay. Jesus Aguilar reached out to me. He wants to sign. He's got 73% interest to sign with us. That is actually slightly tempting just because of that whole weird first baseman situation, but I think we have it covered one way or another with Meneses to play there, so I don't think we need Aguilar, so we can just tell him we're not interested. Rosario, can he get locked up for sure? Now he can, but I think we'll keep going just to try and save a few more dollars with that. Not like it matters. It only be like 500k that we're saving anyway. All right, well, I think I'm just gonna go into next week with this same thing. I guess just not worry about AJ Pollock. Tom Murphy signs with Houston. Zunino to the Dodgers, so I guess Alfaro will be coming up here soon because he's probably the top catcher left after Mitch Garver now. Fulmer signs with Cardinals. Both of them sign with the Cardinals. I think I won't worry too much about saving money on Rosario. We'll just go ahead and lock him up now so we can open up a spot to get the other guys more interest in these last couple weeks. So we'll bump Rosario up to 7 because I would want him for that long anyway. Bump this up until it gets to 100. So 9.15 mil for Rosario to get to 100%. So let's go ahead and add the final big piece to these off-season deals. Ahmed Rosario at an 83 overall, 28 years old with an A potential. I really like this signing. I really like all of our signings. All right, so now they finally took Hassel off our depth chart here, but now Alex Call is playing first, and they have Rosario DHing. And then we're just left with Jorge Alfaro and Kevin Kiermaier, who honestly, both of them are speedy options here, which made me think we have added a lot of speed in this offseason. We added Hap, who does only have 64, but he gets added over Dickerson, who was only like 30 speed, so that's like a 30 speed increase. Chapman was 70 speed at third. I don't know what Candelario was at, but it wasn't 70. Rosario with his 90 speed, that's a big boost. And then Alfaro as a catcher with 75 and Kiermaier with 85. We're about to become a pretty speedy team. And I guess he's still there, so we'll throw Pollock onto the board, at least see how interested he is. I don't know, that might not be a bad signing because that is a big bat against lefties. Not the greatest defender, but we could probably play around with some sort of platoon to get him starting against lefties. I actually don't even know if we'd have a spot for that though now I think about it, because like Lane Thomas is better against lefties, Robles is better against lefties, obviously Meneses, Hap and Chapman would both be in that lineup, and Rosario, because they're all good against lefties. So would it even be worth it to add another bat that would hit lefties well? I don't know, but I really don't see any reason not to have him on the board here and at least see about it. So we can advance another week here. It'll be the second to last week, because I think we'll get to advance one more time and then have a final signing period. Oh no, Candelario, don't do this to me, man. Don't reach out to me and make me feel bad. I mean, we don't have a spot for you, man. You were good. You were an integral part of our World Series run. Actually, World Series MVP, but we're moving on. Sorry to say. Hate to do it to you, man. Pollock is actually 74% interested. So we could bump it down to that 1 year. Who cares what we pay for? And then get him 85%. I just don't know if I would want him over Kiermaier. Like, I kind of feel like I'd rather have Kiermaier, because even Kiermaier against righties is better than Robles. So if we had the righty-lefty Robles-Kiermaier platoon to always have a good fielder in center, even if it's a slight increase hitting, that fielding in center is always really valuable. I just want to be able to sign Kiermaier for only the 2 years. So I guess we could move up one more week, attempt to sign Kiermaier for this, and if we don't get him, we at least have Pollock to fall back on. So I guess that's my thought. We do still have our guaranteed thing to use on somebody, but at this point, none of these guys I really want to be locking up for a long time. But I guess if it comes down to it, there's not really any reason not to. Like Alfaro, who cares if we're paying him a little extra? We could probably trade him at some point, or he could just be a solid backup catcher for his entire 30s. I don't know. I'm going to sim the one last week, let these interests go up just that little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and execute whatever plan we decide on here. So we got Luis Sessa off the board to the Sox. Carl Edwards Jr. goes to the Angels. And we are ready to go then for our next signing. Grandal, no thanks. Man, I'm actually almost tempted to guarantee Kiermaier just because I like that defense, but him being 33, that would lock him up until what, 38, 39? He definitely isn't going to hold off regression for that long. So I guess let's just go ahead and try and offer Kiermaier this 2-year, $5.6 million offer with 71% interest. If we don't get him, we'll get Pollock. And we got Kiermaier. All right, big defense and speed added to the team. So we will go ahead and forget about Pollock then. Oh, we can't remove him, but it doesn't matter. And then Alfaro. Do I want to guarantee him and lock up that backup catcher, or should we only do the 3 years and see if 80% is enough? I kind of just want to lock him up. I don't really see any reason not to. Like, Ruiz is our catcher of the future. Alfaro, sure, he's 30, and he's not gonna, or at least most likely not gonna stay good until he's 36, but it's not like a ton of money, and we could probably trade him at some point. So I'll just make sure we get him. We'll use our one guaranteed, lock him up for 7 years. Go ahead. Why not? It was my gut, remember? The whole offseason, my gut was telling me get Alfaro, and now we got him. And there we go. That's the offseason. We can advance here. Forget about Pollock. Let's see. Do we still have a, what was it, December 33rd popping up after the offseason's over? Oh, we still got a few more signings trickling in. Colton Wong was still on the board. Wow. So yeah, Lorenzen back to the Angels, Wong to the Yankees, Clevenger to Toronto, Luke Weaver to Pittsburgh, and another reliever to the Jays. Aaron Nola, I forgot he was still on the board, and he goes to Houston. Only 5 years, 95 mil. Going to Houston. Blake Snell to Seattle. So Seattle building with Ohtani and now Snell in the same rotation. Michaelis goes to San Francisco, Grichuk to the Dodgers, Jimmy Nelson to the Padres, Pomeranz to the Cubs. I don't think there's anybody in our division, unless I'm just not paying attention. Yeah, our division is just not really getting better around us. Will Myers was still on the board. He goes to Texas, Muncy to Toronto. Toronto's picked up a couple names here. Not any big ones, but to sign Muncy for 3.4 mil for a year, why not? They also get Michael A. Taylor, sorry. Rosenthal back to the Padres. Scope to the Dodgers. Another signing for the Jays. They are loading up on just like solid role players. Urshela goes back to the Yankees. Aguilar ends up with the Cardinals, another pitcher to the Guardians, and then Frazier to the Brewers. Did again we escape not having anybody sign in our division? Our division was the best division in baseball, and it's like they're just resigning to us being the team that's gonna run things. Do we have any more days of signing here before the offseason ends? It doesn't look like it, and wow, they even factored in the fact that 2024 is a leap year. And there it is. There's December 33rd. Biggest return for MLB The Show this year. Really? We only got a 3.5-star offseason? Did you see the signings that I made, game? Our tier, though, has moved all the way up to contenders. So that's what, like the second tier? I liked our offseason, though, man. I really do. Looking at it here, oh, man, we even signed some more people. I forgot the game does that automatically. I don't want Grandal, man. Don't force your way in anywhere. Please. We also got Rougned Odor, Craig Kimbrell, Tony Kemp, and Jesse Winker. I really hope none of those guys find their way on our opening day roster, unless it keeps a prospect away. I guess that'd be the only way that those signings are fine. These three especially, I don't want to see on that roster. Although it is actually kind of cool to have both Kimbrell and Kenley on the same team. They're probably like the two active saves leaders, right? They gotta be. But yeah, look at these signings I actually made. Matt Chapman, Jordan Hicks, Ian Happ, Matt Moore, Ahmed Rosario, Kiermaier, and Alfaro. Chapman, Hicks, Happ, and Rosario, all big names that are young, gonna be good for a while. I like Chapman only for 3 years because we have Brady House coming up through the system. I think we had a 5-star offseason. I think that that star and a half that isn't lit up there is down to the auto signings that they've signed at the end. Kimbrel, Grandal, and Odor, that's a half-star each. Oh, and now it's actually different. Now it's saying Robles, this is his last year. That contract symbol is next to him for this season. That wasn't what it was saying before. So that kind of, I mean, that doesn't really throw anything off. That just means I can put him on the trade block probably. And they have Jake Alou on the depth chart at first base. Come on, game. Figure it out. Figure that one out. Cause give me Dom Smith. Give me that guy we drafted over Jake Alou with the high contact. I forget his name even. Well, it looks like they also didn't mention another signing, but just going through the years here, we also got Jason Vossler, 70 overall. Actually pretty solid. I'd be fine if he started at first. Actually, no, because we have Meneses. We're fine how it is. All right, and I've been recording for almost 3 hours now. This is easily the longest off season I've ever done, but it was fun. There was a lot of thinking involved, and I really think that this team is set up for the future now, and we have money for next offseason if there's a big signing out there. I'm really excited. We're facing Philadelphia on opening day, and obviously that is going to be getting started next episode. So guys, thanks for watching the offseason. As I'm sitting here 3 hours into the recording, who knows, I might have even made it 3 episodes, but regardless, it was a long one. So thanks for watching the entirety of the offseason if you did. Let me know if you like all my moves, if there was something else you wish I would have done. But I hope one way or another we are all excited to get into season 2 and defend our World Series championship.